Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We are coming to the end of 2025. We're starting to kind of talk and saying 2026 just feels weird. But it's also like exciting as we're planning for things coming up ahead and stuff. But it just feels weird and feels off. So to say that this is our last spotlight series of 2025 is exciting. We've had a great year of so many speakers, but it also just feels a little bit weird. But so happy to have each of you on here today. I'm so excited for today's topic and today's speaker. But before I go into that, I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Zyra Talk. So Zyra Talk has been a tremendous partner to Lady Titans and for fulfilling our mission for women in the trades. And so Zyra Talk, thank you so much for your partnership and your sponsorship. And so if you are not familiar with Zyra Talk, you are missing out because they turn missed calls into revenue opportunities. Their AI CSR works 24/7 to book jobs, reschedule appointments, and answer questions. So I know they have been brought up a few times in the lounge and from other Lady Titans saying, hey, it has been game changer for us and for our company. So if you are needing help or exploring any of those things, Zyra Talk is a great partner to learn some more information about how AI might can help you in your call center. So thank you, Zyra Talk, and thank you all for being here. But let's get into our spotlight series. So I'm so excited to have our guest today, Laura Kelly. And I'm sure she gets tired of me saying this, but if we're ever in the same room together, I like to say that I sound like sweet tea and she sounds like Guinness. Very different accents here, but very true and applicable. And so today she is going to be talking about shifting your identity and step into your potential, the transformation that can change everything. And so Laura is a super sought after leadership coach and growth analyst who's helped hundreds of business owners and CEOs unlock their potential and transform how they lead. She has a background in business psychology and optimal human performance. Laura's work blends science with soul. She's guided executives from billion-dollar brands to small businesses alike to lead with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Her insights have shaped teams across industries from technology to trades, helping leaders create thriving cultures and meaningful results. Her approach is rooted in authenticity and accountability, and she believes leadership isn't about titles, it's about who you become in the process. So we are so excited to have her join us today. She's going to give a kind of just from the heart talk and just kind of see how your guys' conversations guide how we navigate this time together. So super excited to have Laura. Thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Well, good. Yeah, guys, thank you for having me. I'm excited to share some stuff with you today. And anything I share with you is uh I'm definitely a geek for like the science and knowing a thing works, but I also believe so much in just lived experience. And then when the two line up, it facilitates it at least facilitated for me a lot of it built a case that I should maybe try this thing. So anything I share with you today was first I first studied it from like my background is all in psychology from a scientific perspective, and then I would like look for models in my life or coaches or mentors in my life that were kind of embodying these principles, so I could see the kind of fruit that they were bearing, and I was like, okay, are these people worth following? I tell people all the time that you should only take advice from a person who has the result that you're looking for in that particular area. So, you know, marriages tend to be wildly rewarding and wildly difficult. Uh, Perhaps it's worth taking advice only from people who have the kind of marriage that you're looking to have, the kind of business that you're looking to have, the kind of health that you're looking to have. So anything I share with you today I'm actively pursuing it in my own life, ongoingly pursuing it, learning from people around me who bear the fruit I'm trying to bear and keep, and it's backed by science. So I'll share a little bit about my journey and how I became the person I became. And shit, I'm far from perfect. I have a whole host of imperfections that I'm looking to love myself through and evolve beyond every single day. I was a young girl who grew up in a small town in Ireland, southerly town, where everybody knew bloody everybody. So if one person had an opinion of you, it would become the whole town's opinion of you. And I was the kind of kid that would sit in class, swing on my chair, throw gummy bears at people to make them laugh, and like school was wildly boring to me. Although I loved people and people loved me. There was a lot. I was if you were kind of more in the rougher crowd or the popular crowd or the geeky crowd, we had rapport. And that is what gave me purpose, because certainly showing up to class and performing on a test gave me no bloody purpose. I say to people all the time, we all have six human needs: significance, contribution, love, growth, certainty, and uncertainty. And the more anything meets at least three of your human needs, the more you're inclined to continue to want to do the thing. So paying attention in class met none of mine. I didn't feel significant because I failed all my fucking classes. Excuse my language. I didn't feel love because my teachers were hating on me because I didn't make them look good. I wasn't contributing, to class because I was throwing gummy bears around the place. But but when it came to making people feel good, oh, I was ringing the bell on all of those needs. So that's perhaps something for you to even think about at the gate. If an area of life isn't fulfilling you, chances are it's not meeting at least three of those needs, and therefore you're not that motivated to spend more time there. I certainly was very absent-minded in class. But I had tabs on what people were feeling, what they were thinking, and that gave me a lot of significance, a lot of contribution, a lot of love, and a lot of growth. So I was always people's go-to people, and sometimes that would be just diffusing a thing with laughter and goofiness, and sometimes that and it allowed me build enough rapport that I could be there for them through hardship also. Um, uh, However, what's rewarded typically is what people build their identity around. And as you're a kid, what's rewarded is good grades. At least it was in my house. Getting good grades meant you could go to college, and if you went to college, meant you could get a good career. And I was not getting good grades. I didn't care to. I then had so much pressure around performing when I wasn't bloody paying attention in class that I would show up in a test, and I'd be ready to leave that freaking test hall in 2 minutes because I didn't know shit about what they were asking me. So my identity became what was valued was high grades, and I was not achieving that. So my identity became that of a failure. Um, I grew up in a guest house, so my mom would both my parents had big kind of drinking problems growing up, so they would leave the guest house and they would say fill this house, and anyone that was where I could contribute. That was where I would get some level of love. So no one would bloody pass our house without. I'd be outside the front, like as a kid, like 8-year-old kid, like brushing the yard leaves, so I could wave a person down as a kid and like tell them to come into our house. And I became that. That is how I could gain some approval from my parents. So I became that vehicle made me met some of my needs. So I became really freaking good at selling. I didn't even know it was selling. I just thought it was being friendly and having a good opportunity to show a person, which is really, I guess, what selling is. Um, but I wasn't that. My parents never saw. Well, that wasn't valued as a society. Like that wasn't even my parents' fault. What was valued as a society was doing well in school and getting to college. So still, although I was banger at this, I would fill the freaking street. I would be able to hold space for a person going through a thing. It wasn't culturally valued. So I went through life thinking I was a failure. I had such low self-esteem, and I would do because I could move people from feeling shit about themselves to feeling better about themselves. I would do that over taking care of my own needs. So therefore I also wasn't taking care of self. So my whole identity was uh how I thought of self was it wasn't that great. It wasn't that healthy. And when you prime your brain to believe a particular thing about self, you'll find proof of it everywhere. I was not for 1 second thinking that I could take these adults that were struggling with the thing to feel better about themselves and giving myself a ring of the bell for that. It wasn't valued by those I was seeking support, seeking approval from. So I didn't value it in myself. Filling, freaking being a guest house and the whole street as a kid wasn't valued by those I was seeking approval from. So it wasn't valued necessarily by self. So I didn't see myself as a highly competent individual. So the only things that registered with my identity, which is typically built at a subconscious level, was whatever you believe yourself to be, you'll find proof of it in your reality. So I believed myself to be a failure. So the things that rang most true to my subconscious and my identity was proof of that. So I would never ring the bell for myself when I would do good in those sales areas or helping a person, but I would ring the shit out of the bell when I did badly, because that's what my identity was primed to see more of. So we have to be really careful about what we allow shape our identity. We have to be really, really, really careful. So that feeling where you're engaging in life and you're not giving it your all. There's more of your potential that hasn't been unleashed. You just have this freaking feeling. Certainly when you allow your mind to get quiet enough to allow the truth of God to speak through you, or your intuition to speak through you, or whatever your belief set is, that you're not allowing your true self shine. You're not playing life. You're not engaging in life to its fullest. You're not engaging with life to your fullest capacity. That feeling I also had, and I know many and most have had at some point, and maybe still do. Um, and I felt it in quite a big way, and I knew that my belief was that the whole town thought of me. And sometimes your beliefs about what other people think of you aren't necessarily accurate. Like, I don't actually, with perspective now, I don't think the whole town thought I was a loser, but I thought I was a loser. So I would affirm that everywhere. Um, so um, so I knew I had to get the heck away from the people that thought that of me. Because there were people that thought that of me for sure, but I don't think everybody, like, we can make a human being has a big tendency to distort, generalize, and delete. So I would also encourage you to ask yourself, where am I distorting, generalizing, and deleting? So if you think of yourself as not a high performer, or not worthy, which a lot of us ask ourselves, or not enough, which a lot of us ask ourselves, where are you generalizing, distorting, and deleting? You saw in my example, I was generalizing and distorting and deleting because I wasn't counting all the ways that I tell all those people. I was generalizing and distorting and deleting, and chances are you are too. It's human nature. We just need to become aware of it. It's a pattern, and our capacity to be aware of patterns, and then choose to be aware of patterns, allows us to engage in a pattern differently. We all distort, we all generalize, and we all delete. But what if we distorted and generalized and deleted the various ways that our loved ones piss us off, and we started to think about all the ways our loved ones have showed up for us, especially going into the holiday season? But perhaps you're doing that to yourself. Perhaps you're generalizing and distorting and deleting all the good that you actually bring to this world, and you're instead measuring up based on the things that your subconscious are choosing to value. And that might be, where am I not enough? Because many of us have that wound. It's pretty universal. So you're searching unconsciously in life to how to affirm that belief to self. What if you started believing that you're wildly bloody worthy of having it all? You're wildly worthy of having the family life together, the love life together, the business and professional life together, the health together. Who the heck says we have to be worthy of health? That's the biggest load of nonsense, but it's what many of us believe, me included, until I worked on it. And does my subconscious sometimes show its head? Does the unhealthy part of my subconscious, because there's a lot of health there that I've worked hard on over the years, the unhealthy part show its head sometimes? Freaking hell, yes. But it's our responsibility as adults to speak back, and to speak truth back to what isn't true. Somebody said to me recently, she was talking to me about, I feel I have somebody that comes into our house and helps us sometimes, and it's I feel lucky to have that person. But there was a time where I didn't feel worthy of that help, and I spoke to a girl the other day who didn't either. So she basically was like, so I said, so you're telling me you're not worthy of having a bit more peace? And she's like, well, shit, I never thought about it like that. And sometimes we do need to reframe things. Um, or are you telling me that you're not worthy of having a little bit more capacity, so when you do show up for your kids in the evening, you have the energy to bloody do so? Sometimes the commitments that the jails that we lock ourselves in are so debilitating, and they warrant some rethinking. So I was like, I need to get the heck out of this town, and I got the heck out of this town. Everybody, and not everybody, generalization, 90% of people, 80 to 90% of people that grow up in my hometown stay in my hometown. They go to the local university, they work in the local pubs, they study a degree, and then they work in a job that they don't really like to work in. And I knew I had to get the heck out. So I got the heck out and I went to Dublin. And I Dublin is where I pursued psychology. A mentor of mine. It's also important when you have an identity that you're trying to shape that you've people around you that pour belief into you, not the other way around. And I had this one mentor called Ashley, and she was like, "Girl, you came out of the freaking womb seeing patterns in people." And I think it's because I don't think I came out of the freaking womb. I think I just grew up in an environment where I consistently had to anticipate what my parents were feeling when they would be drunk or whatever, that I became really good at anticipating a person's emotional needs and then speaking to them. However, I always say a person's obstacle is often the way. The obstacle is the way. The hardship can end up being the thing that you overcome, and then it's the way that you can contribute the most to this world. So I pursued that, and I was kicking ass in my tests. And I had never seen I'd never seen a B, never mind a flippin' A on my exams, and I was getting them with relative ease. I was like, this is bananas. Like, are they just taking it easy on me? Like, I was like, are they grading me wrong? Like, how am I getting these grades? I'd never in my life gotten these grades. I couldn't even sit in an exam without going blank. But my environment was different, and people around me thought of me as this capable gal that got into college, and I did. I busted my ass to get into college, but um, um, I had to actually get. I was able to apply for this. I had such bad test anxiety that I got a person to sit with me in the test hall, so I could actually engage with my paper. And only because of that, I don't think I'd have ever got to college, because I wouldn't have been able to write anything on the paper. So I got to college and I started to perform well, and I thought these teachers are going easy on us. They just want us to pass or some shit. I didn't believe the grades I were getting. So I went to a coach. I still can't remember his name, and I need to find him because he totally changed the course of my identity. And I said, what's going on? Like, I never was able to do good. I'm able to do good. And he said, I want you to read this book called Psycho-Cybernetics. And this book changed the game for how I thought about myself. So one thing that changed the game was people outside of me starting to believe in me. That shaped my identity some. The longer lasting change is when you don't need external influences to feel good about yourself. It can come from within. And what I'm about to share with you from this book is what facilitated that. This book was about this plastic surgeon who would work on people's noses, their boobs, their bums. He would do mommy makeovers. He would do all these things. These people who would come to him with these deep physical insecurities, and he would work on them. And then after the surgery, they'd still feel just as crap about themselves. And he just felt like he was contributing to this global problem that we all have to an extent, of low self-esteem, lack of worthiness. And it kept him up at night. And he was like, I just flip this. I just don't want to. They were as troubled, if not more troubled, after the surgery, because they thought this one thing would fix their insecurities, and they still had them. So he said, point blank, I am refusing to do surgery on someone unless they're willing to first do identity work on themselves. And he facilitated this whole program, and he partnered with a psychologist to do this work first. 80% of the people chose to not do the surgery. 20% of those that did it, but from a whole place. Did it because they're like, I already am this. I already have the capacity to love self. This is just the cherry on top of the cake. And it was all about how we speak to ourselves and how we think about ourselves. So 80% of these people that thought of themselves as not worthy of love until they got this boob job done or nose job done, not worthy of being taken seriously at work because they had a weird whatever, which was their untrue self-talk. All of it was untrue, but what we believe, we find proof of in our external world. 80% of the people chose to not get the boob job, not get the nose job, and they were able to engage in life fully. And this whole book was about this concept of, how do you speak to yourself? How do you believe? How are you shaping your own identity? Not how are you allowing the external world shape your identity? How are you shaping your identity? Because our identity influences our thoughts, and our thoughts influence our actions, and our actions are what influence our results. So your identity is the shit you tell yourself every day that shapes your subconscious thinking. Then you have some thoughts. So say, for instance, if I think, Laura, you've got to earn love. You've got to earn people loving you. It's not given. You've got to earn it. You've got to earn it. I'm then going to go about life proving. My emotions are going to be of that, like, well, shit, I'm not that loved. so I better earn it. That's a pretty disempowering freaking thought. So then it creates disempowering emotions, which create disempowering actions. And then you have not so wonderful results in life. You're consistently trying to prove your worth, just as an example of a common pattern that I see. So, what are some beliefs that you hold about yourself that possibly need to be questioned and possibly need to be bloody upgraded? I went from this gal who 80% of the town would have absolutely thought I was going to go nowhere. Working in a bar, working in a restaurant wasn't going to go anywhere. To CEOs and executives in multinational organizations when I went to college seeking me out to help grow their leaders. And I was a kid, but I was just very good at spotting patterns and very good at helping people in this way. So I stopped becoming so bloody obsessed with the shit I was crap at and started to honor the stuff that I was bloody good at. And then you start to see more of what you're bloody good at. And you start measuring yourself in that way. And we all have gifts. We all contribute to people's lives in a conducive and meaningful way. And the more you start to see the good versus focus on the bad, the more you give yourself the opportunity to engage in life fully. You can either choose to berate yourself for the rest of your life for the weaknesses that we all bloody have, or honor your bloody strengths and start owning them. And then you'll allow the world to start seeing you.
Oh, Lord.
Jessica, I hear you, Jessica. I see these patterns every day, and whoever of you on this call are like, shit, she's speaking to me. I'm speaking to me too, and I'm speaking to the patterns that I see everywhere I freaking go. I just spent the last 6 days at an intensive retreat where I work on me because I tell people all the time, we can't give from an empty cup, but we also can't give from a full cup. We can only give from an overflowing cup. So and if you're berating yourself consistently, your cup is never going to overflow. So stop. And I only use language sometimes when I believe I need to get through to your spirit. Stop speaking like shit to yourself. You have a responsibility to speak truth and empowering stuff into yourself. I also tell people that I don't believe in positive thinking. I believe in powerful thinking. I believe in empowering thinking. If I'm having a crap day, I don't tell myself I'm fine, because my brain is going to go BS, stuff falling apart around you. Instead, I say life is hard. Sometimes this is hard. This right now in this moment is a little hard. But Laura, you're a badass. You figure stuff out. You're bloody resourceful as heck. You're going to figure this shit out too. That's powerful thinking, not positive thinking. It's acknowledging what is, but being resourceful in how you speak to yourself. Because then you allow your brain actually be resourceful. If your brain thinks it's not enough and it can't figure this thing out, you won't be able to figure it out. So the biggest responsibility you have to yourself is how you engage with yourself, how you speak to yourself. That's the identity piece. So a question I'm going to ask you, and you can write it down and ask yourself afterwards, or maybe there's something that's coming up to you now, and I encourage you to write it bloody down, is what is a script that you've been just allowing run for far too long that needs a good freaking flip, that needs an upgrade? What is a script that you've been allowing run for far too long? What is a belief that you've been allowing run the show for far too long? And what is the biggest bloody Christmas gift you could gift yourself this year from an identity or belief perspective? Maybe it is, I am worthy of all the blessings. Maybe it is, how can I appreciate the amazing woman that I really am? Maybe it is, how can I appreciate even more of the blessings that are in my life already? So you're presupposing what already is. Because it's like that whole when you drive out of a garage with a new car and you think you're buying a unique car, and all of a sudden you see that bloody car everywhere. It's this part of our brain called the reticular activating system. We start to see what we affirm most often. And if you affirm the bad, you'll see the bad. If you affirm the good, you'll see the good. And that's also true of our loved ones. And as you go into this holiday season and there's a loved one that kind of gets on your wick sometimes, if you'll see people you'll see more of people, you'll see more of what you choose to see. So what if you choose to see, yes, this person has their imperfections just like me, and they're doing the best they can with the tools they have at the time. And shit, I feel sorry for them that they have to turn every experience into how it's negatively impacting them. Because what a crap way to go through the world. I actually have empathy for this human. And I'm about to go home to Ireland for 5 days, and I'm going to face many of these characters. And they might even think I'm a character. and we all should hold great. We all are doing the best we can with the tools we have at the time. So how we choose to see people is what we're going to see more of. And although I'm going to face people that have hurt me in my life, I'm going to choose to give them grace, because what's the alternative? Because I suffer just as much as they do. So that's identity. What are some beliefs you're going to choose to hold about yourself that give your identity the opportunity of living with greater truth? Because if your identity right now is shaped of unproductive thoughts that drain the batteries out of you, drain the life out of you, you're not speaking truth to yourself, you're speaking falsities. And if you're a believer, what would God want you to think of you? What would the universe want you to think of you? What does your true self want you to think of you? And start choosing to adopt those beliefs now, even if they feel a little bit foreign out of the gate. You'll get used to them over time. You spent the last 30, 25, 40, 60 years speaking the other ones. It's going to take time to get used to the good. But it's the best Christmas gift you could possibly give yourself. That's identity. I'm sure I've got your brains, spinning. I'm now going to give you something else to think about that allows you engage in life, that allows you access happiness with greater ease. Would we like to learn how to access happiness with greater ease? This, guys, this changed the game for me. I had been doing identity work for years. I had changed a lot of the results in my life, almost all of them. Like, I am different to my family and they love me anyway. I didn't do what they wanted me to do, which was work in the local factory and stay at home and not move across the world. And they love me anyway. Because really what our loved ones want is us being the best version of ourselves. But as we pursue achievement, we can also be our worst enemy. So there's a blueprint about achieving happiness that I'm going to make you all aware of today. So identity, part 1, work on shaping that by speaking well to yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and look yourself in the eye. Sometimes looking yourself in the eye is how you access a truth about yourself. Who am I really? Who are you really, Laura? Who are you really? And ask yourself that and look in the mirror and pull out whatever that is if you're struggling to access what is absolutely true about you. The next part. When I heard this, it changed my freaking world. We all have values. We all have values that we like to be living from, and we all have values that we're actually living from. And there's a difference. And this work is a little harder. So I'm going to give you as much as I can that you could pull an implementable takeaway. And I'm happy to engage with you more after the fact. I'll send you a workbook so you can go deeper on this stuff after. But what I'm getting at here is, number 1, you deserve to be bloody happy. You don't have to earn happiness. And what I'm about to share with you will allow you access it easier. One of my values in the past, not anymore. I love workbooks. Good. I'll get it over to you, Vicky. Used to be achievement and success, because that is when I started to gather love. That's how I started to gather love. So typically the things that are rewarded most in life become your values. But you might tell me that you value, you might tell me what you value, but if you look at where you spend your money, if you look at where you spend your time, so looking at your calendar, and looking where you spend your energy, that is actually what you value. So another gift you could give yourself is the opportunity of self-honesty. You might think you value a thing, but look at where you're spending your money, your time, and your energy, and that'll tell you what you're actually valuing. I was doing such an amount to achieve and to succeed. That was what I actually valued. Not love, not warmth, not contribution, not growth, not the things that actually allow your spirit experience happiness. And that's how you'll actually experience success long term. I also used to focus on what would make me significant. And if you focus on significance, you'll consistently chase it. If you focus on contribution, you'll become significant.
Say that again.
If you focus on significance, you're going to always chase it. And you're never going to arrive. If you focus on contribution, You'll just become more significant. And it'll grow the shit out of your spirit. And it'll grow the shit out of your capacity to experience self-respect. You're not trying to earn anymore. You're not trying to prove anymore. You're contributing. And then you'll let the chips fall where they fall and watch how significant you become. The moment I dropped my need to be significant and I switched it with my need to contribute is when I became significant. Before that, I wasn't. I'm sure people could feel my need for approval. Now I contribute and whatever fucking happens, happens. Excuse my language. I don't mean to curse to be disrespectful. I sometimes I curse to try and get a point across. So in terms of values, identify what you're actually valuing, not what you'd like to value, what you're actually valuing. Then I want you to ask yourself, the version of me that is living the most fulfilling version of life, what does that person have to value? What is the most fulfilling, whole, not proving herself kind of person, kind of version of me? What does the most fulfilled version of me value? Chances are it's love. Chances are it's laughter. Chances are it's contribution. Chances are it's gratitude. It's the things that allow us feel good over the long haul. Chances are. Then I want you to create rules that allow you experience those values with ease. And I'll explain why rules are important. And rules sound like something that's going to give you less freedom until I frame it, and you'll see how it actually gives you such an array of freedom. If you ask yourself, what is something I'm valuing currently? So for me, it was achievement. And you ask yourself, what has to happen in order for me to experience achievement? You'll start to realize how difficult you're making it. So your values are what has to happen in order for you to experience happiness. That's what your belief. You believe that in chasing this thing, it's going to bring me happiness. So what are you chasing right now that you believe is going to bring you happiness? And then what is your rule associated with that? So mine was achievement. And then I asked myself, what has to happen in order for me to experience achievement? And what I discovered was wild. I had to make a global impact and be recognized for it globally in order for me to experience achievement. And it was my number one value. It was the number one thing that determined whether I was allowing myself experience worthiness. What a bloody load of baloney that was. No wonder I wasn't happy. But many people have it. I had somebody that I coached recently, and it was something they valued was love. And it was only if everybody likes me can I experience love. No one's going to ever flip and like you. Or another one was leadership. Only if everybody believes in what I'm pushing people toward. So what I want you to make sure of is that you discover the shit that's just not true. What are you valuing, and what is a rule? What do you have to experience in order to emotionally experience that value? And I almost bet you've some wild ass rules that make experiencing that value so difficult. As achievers, what we want to do is make our values easy to achieve and allow our goals to be the thing that push us. So they're the values and rules, the old ones. So step one, identify what am I valuing currently based on my energy expenditure, my money expenditure, and my behavior expenditure. What am I valuing currently? And what has to happen in order for me to experience that? Do that exercise. Then the most fulfilled version of me, what does that person have to value? And they're the new values. And then what? And then you want to make those values very easy to experience. Okay, so if I choose love is now my top value, and it wasn't even always that way because I had so much work to do on having the capacity to love myself that I wasn't even able to value it. Now it's my number one value, and the rule I have associated with it is anytime I experience warmth in my heart, or anytime I experience like a smile on my heart, or anytime I display warmth toward another, or anytime I experience gratitude, then I'm experiencing love. So what you'll notice is my rules associated with my top value are all within my control. They're all within my control. I'll send you an exercise that lays out all of this after the fact. But it rewires your whole nervous system in how you can actually feel like you're winning in life. Because unless you can experience a healthy emotional home, meaning your emotional home, the emotions that you experience mostly are conducive and empowering, you're not going to have the fuel to go after your goals. Because you're going to beat the shit out of yourself and never have the opportunity to continue to pursue goals and have the stamina to keep going when times get tough. So the values must be so easy to emotionally experience. And then your goals are what push you. So I'll give you this exercise. This time next year, it's a gorgeous, crisp Tuesday morning, December 2026. You're sitting somewhere that makes you feel appreciative. You might have a warm cup of coffee in your hand, and there's no one in the world bothering you. And you're sipping that cup of coffee, and you're so flippin' grateful for everything you pursued this past year. You're so proud of how you showed up. You're so proud of what you put focus toward. You're so proud of what you've been able to bring about. What did that person go after? Set goals from that place. What does a proud, grateful, fulfilled, compassionate, loving version of self? What did that person chase over this past year? That's your goal. Set goals from that place. Otherwise, you'll set goals from what seems flippin' urgent. And you'll arrive at next year and that goal didn't fulfill you either. So use your goals to push you, however, set them from a conducive place. So take the time to ask yourself, in a year from now, what would be the 4 goals? So science shows that if you pursue 4 goals, if you give yourself your whole year to pursue 4 goals, you're 90% more likely to achieve them. You have a really, really high success rate if you choose 4 goals. Many people don't define their goals, and then they choose a shit ton of them and they change them throughout the year. So they never really give themselves the opportunity, and then they affirm to self that they're a failure, but they never gave themselves a real shot at winning anyway. And then those 4 goals should be a split between professional and personal. So one of mine is a profit dollar amount that I want, but I also associate why I want it. Because money, like I think about if I hit this profit goal, or when I hit this profit goal next year, the why I'm hooking to that is that I get to give a lot of people a raise in my organization, and that gets me excited. What is the why that you associated with that goal, so you can actually make it meaningful? If the goal doesn't pull you, you've got to keep finding reasons to associate it with that goal, or that goal isn't going to pull you enough when hard days hit and you're just going to fold. So find goals with good enough reasons that they pull you. And if they don't pull you, you either don't have the right goals or you haven't associated enough meaningful reasons to that goal. Another one of my goals is a health goal. Another one of my goals is a relationship goal. And another one of my goals is an impact goal. So my relationship goal is a certain body fat percentage I want to get to. Not necessarily because I care about that aesthetically, but I know that my mental health will be so grateful for me getting my ass out on that road walking every day. I know that Josh and me and my husband are in business together and we parent together. So one of my goals are to 90% of the I have to look. 80% or 90% of the year, I'm getting my board printed. By the way, I get a board printed every year that I go for a walk. So 5 times out of the week, I go for a 45-minute walk with Josh every night because it allows me and him be aligned. And if you're married or in partnership with somebody, alignment at the top is everything. We parent better and our businesses grow better when we're aligned. So walking every night facilitates that for us because the emotion of the day is gone, so we get to connect. If we walked in the middle of the day, we'd probably argue because the emotion of the day is heat. There's heat. So I have a relationship goal, I have an impact goal, I have a profit goal, and I have a health goal. What are those for you? What are the 4 goals that if you give yourself the year to pursue 4 meaningful goals, what is the level of pride, self-respect, love, joy, gratitude you could experience 365 days from today? What are those goals? And journal from that place. Not are the goals you think you should have. What are the goals that you actually choose to go after that would meaningfully push your life forward? Go after those goals. And I don't want to overwhelm you, although I have another thing. I'm going to throw it over to questions because I do have one other thing, but I don't want to. I've thrown a lot of stuff at you here, and I want to allow for questions. I want to also just encourage you. There's going to be some things that I said on this call that got you thinking. I would be curious about that particular thing and journal on it. There might be something on this call that actually facilitated resistance. And that also might be something worth exploring. Because sometimes on the other side of resistance, it's something we need to learn, but we don't want to learn. And journal on it, because at the other side of that is freedom. Because either way, this shit's running the show anyway. The shit that we don't want to face is running the show anyway. So we may as well know about it, because then we can choose otherwise. So I'm going to throw it over to you all, and thank you for putting up with me, listening to me for the last 45 minutes or so. You might have questions. I'm an open book. Ask me whatever. And I'm sure there'll be another opportunity for me to share the last thing that is quite shaping at another point, which is primary question. We all have a core question that we ask ourselves. And at some other point, I'll help you identify what that is for you. Questions, thoughts, ideas. This is so enlightening. Anyway, I haven't been looking at the comments, so maybe.
And hey, did you have a thought? I saw you come off mute.
I did. So obviously, a lot of what you talk about is kind of like self-reflecting. So
Yes.
when you're a leader, manager in a team, and you see somebody that is obviously not doing that, and you want to kind of pull them out, what do you feel like the best way? Like sometimes, like I'm someone who self-reflects a lot, so like listening to people like yourself, like I really start like get going, and it kind of like hypes me up. And I even say like during conference season, everyone's probably been in that session that they left and they're like, let's go. Like I'm just someone who gets like that, but I know not everybody does. So how do you, as a manager or leader in your business, kind of taking it like a step further, where would you start to help your team members kind of, get out of that like negative headspace? And, sometimes we're all going through things like you talked about, like where would you start?
Yeah, such a good question. I think I'm of the opinion that the main thing that makes me an effective leader, and the people that I see have the most lasting influence over the long haul, because anyone can knock the hammer and get good shit out of a person for a short period of time, but not people won't put up with that for too long. A players won't put up with that for too long. Is the capacity to facilitate psychological safety, so a person has the capacity to admit where they're falling short. So there's a few different things that I do to facilitate that. Number one, if I ever ask a person to admit something that they're doing wrong, I have to admit where I'm going short also. So say for instance, somebody is coming to me, a leader is coming to me. Like recently, I had to demote a leader, and it wasn't fun. She was in the wrong seat. It was my fault for putting her there. And I said to her, I said, "Hey, girl, I don't want to have this conversation, but I care about you too much to not. And I have you in the wrong seat, and I failed you. Here are the various things that need to happen in the position that I'm removing you from. And as much as I think you could have shown up better, I'm the problem. I'm the problem too. I shouldn't have put you in this bloody seat." And I should have been pouring into you more when I saw that there was a big gap in your capacity to fulfill this seat. And only when you do that do they feel safe enough to admit what the heck they could have done better in. So that is one way. Another big way is if a person feels like they have to be perfect, they are so scared to admit when shit goes imperfectly. I say to people, I tell people all the time, like, I don't expect you to get this perfect, but I do expect you to give, I do expect you to give all you've got and ask questions along the way. So if people are afraid to ask questions in your organization, they need to feel safe. They need to feel like it's safe to fail. They need to feel like their position is not on the line if they fail. So they need to feel like this lady was actually relieved that she was being demoted because she knew she was failing. But I failed in not addressing that much faster. She then wrote a big list of all the things that she'd failed on and all the things she wants to work on. And we have a big growth plan for her. And I think she'll be back in the position in 3 months. But if you ever play the blame game, you're going to facilitate such low willingness to self-reflect, because a person is just going to be super resistant. Something tactical that we do as well is we do 2 things. At the end of every single day, we have an end of day check-in on Slack where everybody admits something they were challenged with that day, something they did well that day, something that they experienced a win with, and something that they were challenged at. And everybody finds a thing. What is something that was hard today or that you were challenged with? What was a win today? Then we also ask, what was your energy from a scale of 1 to 10? And then me as a leader, if a person's energy is like 5, shit's going awry in their life. Probably it might be in business. They might have had a hard client conversation. But energy typically tells me where their emotional home is. And when you're depressed, you can't be bloody enthused about life. Like, when you come out of those seminars and, like you said, Renee, you're stoked to go after life because you've got belief in yourself, you've got inspiration, you've got all these good emotions, and that can allow you run on little sleep and still want to make stuff happen. But if you're talking like crap to yourself, your energy is low. So then I immediately see that and I intervene. I go to the person and say, hey, but energy was 5. Shit's hard for you right now, I'm assuming. What's going on? Like life has been hard for me too recently as well. Or you make them feel safe to speak to you about what's actually going on. Because only in knowing what's actually true have you the capacity to truly influence. So we do that. So what is a challenge you've had? And then you're normalizing challenges. Like, even the owners have challenges. We say them too. We do it every day too. Everyone in the organization, every single level. What are you challenged? What's something you were challenged with today? What is a win today? What is your energy from a 1 to 10? 1 is need to go nap. 10 is ready to take over the world. And then we ask, and then the 4th question is a goofy question. So the team get to know goofy things about one another. Like, sometimes they're bananas. Like, if you could be a superhero, what superhero would you be? Like, silly things like that. So the team get to like build rapport with one another, because people tend to not stay in organizations for the money. They tend to stay for the relationships. So it allows people like get to know the goofy sides to one another. We do that every day. And then what we do every month is we do a happiness survey. And then we actually do shit with the things they tell us. We ask them, what are we doing well? And what are we doing poorly? What are we doing? Where is leadership kind of, falling on their bones right now? And we frame it that way. So it invites conducive and constructive input. And then every single Wednesday we meet our team and we do an all team. I do an all team training every Wednesday, and then I acknowledge the input. Everything is confidential. I don't know who said what, so there's psychological safety, to be honest. Also, so then you start to identify patterns of what's going on in your organization. I say, hey, I hear you. I read some things in the survey, and sometimes sometimes you might just have a complainer, and how you sort that is this, by the way. We have an organization where we do not allow venting. Um, uh, so much so that I have a funny story that a team member of ours, got off a call. This was like only a month ago, so like still there's imperfections, but we have a really gorgeous culture. Our happiness survey is something I often like to read because it's nuanced. It's still a pretty solid culture. Uh, this only happened 2 weeks ago. He got off a call. Client was being an ass, according to him, and he made a Slack channel saying, "I need to vent," and then he just bitched about the client in the Slack channel. And I went in to the Slack channel, and when people were in before me, it was like, "Laura's not going to like this," and I went into the Slack channel and I pooped all over his parade. And I said, "I actually could find it. I need here it is." So he went. He said, "Wow, the call I just got off. Damn, my brain is fried. Just right before a beautiful weekend." And I went in and said, someone said, "Laura's not going to like this," and called him out. And then I went in and said, "Not sure how I feel about this channel. The research on the various negative effects of venting is pretty substantial. Sharing a problem while seeking a solution is far more optimal and worthwhile. So if we choose to keep this channel, let's please rename it to I Need a Solution." And here's the science. And they were all like, and then we had the team retreat the next weekend. The team retreat was what we were about to go into. And they all made this joke like after like, "Well, Laura shot all over your parade, and I'm so glad she did." Because all of us spend way too long at work to be in a culture where there's just so much bullshit, where there's just so much bitching and moaning. So what happens in our organization now, and if a person remains negative, they don't stay in our organization. Is life going to be sunshine and roses? No. We also have to be realists. There's going to be problems. Every day there's going to be a problem. There's also going to be a lot of good. However, people need to feel comfortable coming to you with problems. However, when they come to you with a problem, there has to be intent for solution. That's the kicker. There has to be intent for solution. So that's why that channel is I Need a Solution. And they could post whatever the heck they want in there that's troubling them, that they're seeking a solution for. Because problems happen. But here's what the data shows about venting. It's why talk therapy ends up keeping people sick. The data shows that if you give out about a thing, so say you're pissed off about your husband, we've all had these moments, and you go to a friend and you bitch about your husband, you end up leaving that thing more emotionally invested about how much you hate your husband. The same is true about a client or about a team member who bitches to their colleagues or bitches to you about something they're annoyed about in class, in work. So they just leave the meeting more emotionally invested in the thing that they were already very passionate about. And then you're just creating emotional people at work, not people that have the calm capacity to think clearly. So you build an organization, you build that desire by saying, life is too short. Do you plan on spending such a chunk of your life in a culture that bitches and moans and talks crap about people, around people's back? Or do you want to help me guard a culture that we all pour life into one another, and if we're doing things wrong, we are brave enough and courageous enough to tell a person to their face? Which do you want to be a part of? Do you want to be part of a culture where you're spoken about behind your back? Or do you want to help me protect a culture where if you're doing something wrong, and you'll do things wrong, so do I, that they're going to tell you to their face? Which culture do you want to be part of? So then they're motivated by this whole I need a solution thinking. Because in that moment, Scotty was probably like, "Fucking Laura, I just wanted a bitch." Excuse my language. But at the retreat, and he says to me constantly, "I've never been so happy. I've never made such a good career move." Because he doesn't have to put up with nonsense every day where there's just crap, like there's just moaning. And a way that we facilitated that too, and this is a long-winded way of answering your question, Renee, but I hope this is helpful to many of you in different ways, is this concept of extreme ownership. When we get on a call now, everybody gets on a call. When we get on a call to solve a problem, because we live this concept that if you meet often enough with the right people, you'll solve any problem. So there could be months that go past where if we've got a marketing problem, we meet on it every week until it's solved with the people that we believe are the best thinkers to help us solve it. And that is often, so for marketing, that would be sales, that would be COO, that would be CMO, that would be people that we believe that can contribute to the fixing of that problem. But if everybody on that meeting showed up pointing fingers at the person that's at fault for that, there's not going to be conducive energy to problem solve in that meeting. Instead, everybody, it's just part of the culture now. Everybody comes and is like, oh, that was really my fault. That was really my fault. That was my sales, my fault. Marketing, that was my fault. So everybody is already coming to the meeting thinking about how they have contributed to this issue and how things are better. So this whole blame pointing fingers culture doesn't exist. Nonsense. Where have you contributed? Because we all have. And speak from that place. Because then there's this collaborative nature where nobody's defensive. Everybody's taking ownership for the part that they played. And then when they see the owner and they see the owner being comfortable and actually honoring a person who had the balls to say, I screwed up in this way, it gives them the permission to do it more. So then problems aren't hid from you, they're brought to you. I hope that helped. And I went off in various ways, but usually when I do it, people pick up different nuggets.
Oh, so good. So good. I've got numerous pages of notes here, and I know other people are taking notes, and we're putting some down in the chat and stuff. And so, Laura, this was so fantastic, and so many just thought-provoking and self-reflection tips and encouragements, and just different frameworks and stuff. And so, thank you for this truly enlightening session. If someone wanted to get in touch with you, or maybe learn a little bit more, and I know you said that you would share some resources that we could send out after the fact, but how might someone get in touch with you or know a little bit more?
For sure. I I'll give you a few options for whatever fits you best. That's my Facebook, where I post the most of stuff if you want like free access to me. This is our website where we post free blogs often too. We also offer complimentary success calls. So you come to the call with what you believe is your biggest perceived problem that's holding you back the most, and we figure that out with you on the call and give you an actionable playbook that's complementarily. But we'll also share with you like paid solutions if you want to go deeper with us, and then it's your choice whether you take us up on that or not. That's probably the two best ways. If you go to on that website is book a call. On that website is book a call. I'm actually, for the month of December, I'm taking many of those calls. So if you want a call, you might not get it with me, but chances are you probably will. And I'd be happy to serve you guys more. And my goal is to contribute, and I've just seen for long enough that the rest takes care of itself. So hit me up on Facebook, on our website, wherever, and I'd be glad to serve you, and wishing you a solid 2026, guys. And biggest gift, speak empowering shit to yourself, because the alternative is devastating and you deserve more.
So very true. What a gift to all of us today, just in time for the holiday season, and to shift our framework so that we can start off 2026 with a great excitement and rejuvenation for life and for our goals. And I'm so excited to do that exercise like you talked about at the end of 2026. What are we going to be grateful for and thankful for, and what fulfilled us, and setting new goals for it based off of that. So, yeah. Laura, thank you so much. Lady Titan, so welcome. This was recorded, so it will be up on our YouTube channel within a few days. And Laura is also going to send over some resources, so we're so excited. But make sure to join us back on January 14th for our lounge. If you are new here, the Lady Titans Lounge is an unrecorded, completely unscripted session where it can just be anything that you are. Hey, I'm really struggling with this. Has anyone else dealt with this? Or I'm hiring a new team member. Does anyone have an SOP for this? Or we are trying to launch this piece of tech. Has anyone had these problems? So it's a great space to learn, to grow, to be connected with other women. So that is on January 14th. And then you will not want to miss our next Spotlight series on January 20th with Angie Snow and Krista Macbeth, both from Service Titan. They're going to be doing a fireside chat, very interactive, very engaging on the growth journey that Krista and Angie have seen in their professional careers and how that is achievable for all of us here. So thank you guys for your time today. It's been a great 2025. We'll see you guys guys next year. So have a great rest of your week. Great rest of the year. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you later. Oh, and fill out the survey that Renee just dropped down in the chat. We're giving away 2 Visa gift cards, $100 gift cards to people who complete that member survey. So thank you guys so much. Happy holidays. See y'all later.